Hey Robert, let me know when you can hear me, okay? Huh, let me check that. Uh, can you hear me now?
Yes,
Ah, perfect, great. Sorry, my settings were a little funky. All righty, good to go. How are you today, Robert?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I can't complain. All righty, so tell me where you're at with everything and what you think the best focus would be for today, what you'd like to work on. So just kind of where everything's at.
Okay, so I recorded chapter three or chapter two,
Okay, cool.
and I'm working on chapter three.
Nice.
And last week I was out of town, but this week I have 4 days off in a row.
Wow.
So my
Okay.
goals are to record three, four, and five over the course of the next few days.
Nice.
And it's kind of fun because I'm recording your book, but I'm also learning from it at the same time.
Oh, I love it.
So like one of the things I've been applying is breaking steps into manageable time frames.
Nice.
So I've been doing like a record for 25 minutes and then just stop and take a break and then do
Yeah.
another 25 because before I was doing that, I felt like I had to do like the whole chapter all at once. And sometimes towards the end there, I start to get a little, tongue
Mm,
tied towards the end. So I need to give myself like a little bit of a mental break to
yeah.
gain my abilities to read word properly.
I love that. Yeah. That you kind of feel you're like, okay, I'm kind of tuckering out here. I need to take a little break, back off for a minute, and then come back to it fresh. I love that. Yeah. And I think you have to figure out for yourself what sort of pattern or, what order things should be in or how often you need breaks, that kind of thing. Because each person is going to be a little bit different, but finding what works for you as an individual, I think is really important. So I'm glad that you are figuring that out, that your kind of interval is like, okay, work on narrating or, speaking parts for about 25 minutes, take a 5 minute break, and maybe come back and work on edits a little bit and then take a little break and then come back to it and do some more reading and take a break. So finding the pattern or what works for you, but also just being aware as an individual, that different days you might feel differently too and go, today I need XYZ and tomorrow I might need something different. So just kind of having that self-awareness as well. That's awesome. I love that. That's great to hear. So then how did you feel about the chapter that you just finished? What were maybe some of your thoughts on how it was going and things that you felt like you did well, maybe things that you had to kind of work a little bit more on with that chapter? Where is that at?
So I think it came out good. There was definitely some tongue twisters in there, so I had to just
Sure.
kind of like slow down.
Hmm.
And another thing I've been doing is before I record, when I'm practicing reading it out loud,
Hmm.
anytime I mispronounce a word or leave out a plural or add a
Sure.
plural or say
Hmm.
the completely wrong word altogether,
Yeah.
I highlight that section so that when I'm
Mm.
doing the actual recording, I'll do that highlight and know to really focus on the words that is in there. Recording it and come out properly so I don't have to go
Hmm.
back and change things time.
Yeah. Nice. Love it. Good. It sounds like you're making some really good progress, making good observations as you're, working through and just like little by little, you are growing as a voice actor. At some point, the best thing you can do is start doing the work. I had a teacher say that to me. They said, you do so well in your lessons. And they said, everything I throw at you, you pick it up, you're making progress. But they said, honestly, at this point, like, yeah, you can keep coming to lessons. You are going to keep improving. But they were like, there are some things that you can't really learn without just going and doing the job. You know, you can have the head knowledge, but they were like being in a lesson's a little bit different than actually working on a creative project. And so they said, you know, yeah, you can keep coming to lessons, but they said, you know, you really need to, you know, put yourself out there, start getting jobs, start getting projects, you know, even if it's student projects, but start working on projects and, you know, getting your foot in the door because there are things that you just don't really get until you're actually doing a project. So it sounds like some of those things are seeping in just through that experience of being there, doing the project, doing the work, and it's like, oh, okay. And things just sort of like click. And, you know, it's like, all right, that experience just sort of settles in and translates to knowledge. So I love that. That's awesome. So, what would you say are maybe some of the things that at this point you still feel like you need to work on more, that you still feel like you could grow in those areas?
I think just the main thing is practicing reading out loud to make sure that
Mm.
I'm saying the words properly.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. And then have you been listening back after you're done narrating a certain section to kind of hear after the fact and go, okay, these are the things that I feel like I'm doing well. These are areas I could improve on. Um, have you been going back and listening, like checking your work as well?
No, I've been waiting until I'm done with the whole chapter and then going back and doing
Okay.
everything.
Yeah,
But
yeah. So what are some things when you go back at the end and listen that you have observed or noticed?
definitely, well, I definitely notice when I make a mistake and don't say something properly.
Yeah. Then you're like, all
Um,
right, got to go redo that spot.
I definitely, I'm very critical of my own work. Sometimes I
Hmm.
think like, am I sounding too enthusiastic? I don't want it to sound like an infomercial, but
Yeah, like
I don't want it to
fakey,
sound boring.
ridiculous. Hmm.
So I think I'm a little bit
Yeah.
self-conscious at times. Like, did I do that? Did I go over the top of that? But I think I'm doing this okay. Uh,
Yeah.
what did you think of chapter one?
Yeah. No, I think you're doing a really good job. You're starting to get things. I think in the beginning, I feel like right now, one of the things I notice is that it sounds like you kind of warm up into the reading a little bit to me sometimes. Like maybe when you first start, you're kind of thinking a little bit more, being a little bit more careful. And then as you warm up into it, you sort of get your flow and sort of relax into it a bit more, which isn't a bad thing. I think that's pretty normal. So that's where I think like taking a little bit of time to warm up into it can be really helpful. So before you even start, taking some time to just do like some practice reads of a few paragraphs, kind of get yourself going, do some of the tongue twisters, get your breath going, just kind of warming up all those articulators and everything before you even start. That would be one thing I'd recommend. It's not to the point that I'm like, oh, we need to redo it or anything. It's just more that as I'm listening, I'm like, I know I'm being like very picky and I know what you're capable of, so I can tell when you're being careful or like really thinking about it. Um, but I definitely feel like I'm hearing you do a lot of the things that I've asked for, like observing punctuation, like thinking about what are the key words to bring out and emphasize. So that's really nice. I think overall, I would like to hear just a little more of a smoother sort of flow, just generally speaking. I think that part of that is that you're trying to be very clear and enunciate. And so there's this balance with being clear, but also having a flow where we can sort of relax into listening to the book. I think also with it being, it's like informative and helpful and educational, right? And so it's something that I think having that sort of ease in it, I think is really nice. So when it feels like very precise, I think you don't have to be as perfect as you think you have to be with your diction all the time. but I think also it can be a little bit more of just the airflow through the phrase that it just sort of connects through. And it's almost like if you did maybe a few sighs before you started, going like, oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Mary had a little lamb. Just to sort of exaggerate that feeling. And then when you read the phrases, that feeling of the air just continuing through the phrase, I think would be, just like another thing that's going to add a little bit more polish and ease to the sound. Because when I listen to an audiobook, I don't want to feel, hmm, I don't know, like I want it to feel like something that's relaxing, that's something that puts me at ease. And if the narrator sounds at ease, then I'm going to feel more at ease as well. Yeah. So that's something I'd like to just kind of work on moving forward. And like I said, these are things that as you continue to do the work, you're naturally going to feel more and more comfortable with, and it'll just kind of happen.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, we can still be working on it. So, why don't we go ahead and look at the next chapter that you haven't worked on yet? It's number 4, right?
Number three. I mean,
Oh, number 3.
I've started
Okay, great.
working on number three.
Okay,
I've
perfect. All right.
read through it a little bit.
Yeah. So why don't we look at maybe the next chunk of that you haven't recorded yet, and let's just do a little bit of reading. Before we dive into it, I want you to try, let's go ahead and warm up your articulators, get those going. So why don't we try the big black bug bit the big black bear.
Big black bug. It's a big black bear.
Excellent. Very good. Now let's try red leather, yellow leather.
Red leather, yellow leather.
Awesome. Then let's try unique New York.
Neat, New York.
Awesome. Good. Then let's try she sells seashells by the seashore.
He sells seashells by the seashore.
Good. Excellent. All right. So now let's try that feeling of kind of sighing, moving that breath.
Ah,
Ah. Nice. Again.
ah,
Ah.
ah,
Yes, good. Awesome. Let's try. Aha.
aha.
Wonderful. Try. Oh, no.
Oh no.
Beautiful. All right. So then let's try on the ah sigh again, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 through the sigh. Ah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Ah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Excellent. Very good. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look at that next section that we're going to record next, and just maybe pick a small chunk of it, like a paragraph, and we'll just dive into that section.
Okay. 5. Identify core strategies. Core strategies. Develop strategies that align with the organization's strengths, mitigate weaknesses, capitalize on opportunities, and address threats. Resource allocation. Allocate resources effectively to support the implementation of core strategies. 6. Create an action plan. Tasks and responsibilities. Break down strategies into actionable tasks, assigning specific individuals or teams responsibilities. Timeline. Establish a timeline for activity tasks, ensuring a structured, achievable, implementation plan. 7. Engage stockholders. Engage stakeholders. Stakeholder involvement. Involve key stakeholders, including employees, customers, and partners in the strategic planning process. Feedback mechanisms. Establish mechanisms for collecting stakeholder feedback and insights to inform and enhance the plan. 8. Risk assessment and mitigation. Identify risk. Anticipate potential risks impacting the strategic plan success. Mitigation strategy. Develop strategies to mitigate identified risks and build resilience against uncertainty. Communication plan. Internal and external communication. Develop a communication plan that outlines how the organization will communicate the strategic plan internally and externally.
All right, nice. I think that's a good spot to pause for a moment. So this is a lot of points that are being made. So it's like a list of points. So then with that, each point has to feel like its own little chunk or section. And I think you're doing a nice job with that. I do think that we can have a little more pitch variety and phrase shape variety so that it doesn't feel like da 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 da, where each phrase feels very similar. So instead, one phrase could be da 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 da, ba ba da da da, da 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 da, right? So that they sort of feel like a different shape for each phrase instead of feeling consistent and the same throughout. One thing that can help with that is thinking about what are those important keywords to bring out. And then another thing you can play with is just that pitch variation. Okay, so why don't we try that same section again and just focus on those two things?
Okay. 5. Identify core strategies. Core strategies. Develop strategies that align with the organization's strengths, mitigate weaknesses, capitalize on opportunities, and address threats. Resource allocation. Allocate resources effectively to support the implementation of core strategies. 6. Create an action plan. Tasks and responsibilities. Break down strategies into actionable tasks, assigning specific individuals or teams responsibilities. Timeline. Establish a timeline for executing tasks, ensuring a structured and achievable implementation plan. 7. Engage stakeholders. Stakeholder involvement. Involve key stakeholders, including employees, customers, and partners in the strategic planning process. Feedback mechanisms. Establish mechanisms for collecting stakeholder feedback and insights to inform and enhance the plan. 8. Risk assessment and mitigation. Identify risks. Anticipate potential risks impacting the strategic plan's success. Mitigation strategies. Develop strategies to mitigate identified risks and build resilience against uncertainties. 9. Communication plan. Internal and external communication. Develop a communication plan that outlines how the organization will communicate the strategic plan internally and externally.
Nice. That was already much better. Very good. So then adding on to what you just did, I want you to think about strong points of view. So when you say the word risk, what does that mean to you? Right? When you say the word strategy, what does that mean to you? So thinking about how you feel about any of those people, places, or things that you mention and having those strong points of view. Okay?
Okay.
All right, let's try it again.
Okay. 5. Identify core strategies. Core strategies. Develop strategies that align with the organization's strengths, mitigate weaknesses, capitalize on opportunities, and address threats. Resource allocation. Allocate resources effectively to support the implementation of core strategies. 6. Create an action plan. Tasks and responsibilities. Break down strategies into actionable tasks, assigning specific individuals or teams responsibilities. Timeline. Establish a timeline for executing tasks, ensuring a structured and achievable implementation plan. 7. Engage stakeholders. Stakeholder involvement. Involve key stakeholders, including employees, customers, and partners in the strategic planning process. Feedback mechanisms. Establish mechanisms for collecting stakeholder feedback and insights to inform and enhance the plan. Risk assessment and mitigation. Identify risks. Anticipate potential risks impacting the strategic plan's success. Mitigation strategies. Develop strategies to mitigate identified risks and build resilience against uncertainties. 9. Communication plan. Internal and external communication. Develop a communication plan that outlines how the organization will communicate the strategic plan internally and externally.
Nice. That was much better. I love that. How did it feel for you? Could you feel the difference there?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah, it's these subtle ways that we inflect that can infuse it with a totally different way of hearing it. Yeah, that was awesome. I love that. That was great. So let's go ahead and move on to the next chunk because that was really good.
Okay. Transparency. Foster a culture of transparency by keeping stakeholders informed about progress, challenges, and achievements. 10. Build a culture of continuous improvement, learning, and adaptation. Cultivate a culture that values learning and continuous improvement. Feedback loops. Establish feedback loops to gather insights on the plan's effectiveness and make necessary adjustments. 11. Budget and resource planning. Financial considerations. Align the strategic plan with the organization's budget and financial capabilities. Resource allocation. Ensure that resources, including financial, human, and technological, are allocated appropriately to support plan implementation. 12. Monitor and evaluate progress. Regular reviews. Schedule periodic reviews to assess progress against objectives and adjust strategies as needed. Key milestones. Define specific define critical milestones as define critical milestones and celebrate achievements to maintain momentum and motivation. 13. Scenario planning. Anticipate changes. Consider potential changes in the external environment and develop scenarios to prepare for various futures. Adaptive strategies. Build flexibility into the plan to adapt to changing circumstances.
Nice. Good. How did that feel?
Good.
Excellent. That's great. Okay, good. All right, so then at this point, what would you say based on what you just did? How did you feel about what you just did?
I liked it.
Yeah. So what was good about it and what do you feel like it maybe, what could you do to make it even better?
I focused on key words that I felt were like the most significant word of each sentence and kind of highlighted that word, like thought about what the word means and put the emotion of that word behind it.
Yeah. Nice. Good. I love it. Awesome. So if you picked one thing that you feel like you could do to improve it, what would that be?
Definitely make sure that I keep that in mind while I'm not just practicing, but also recording that each sentence has like a keystone word, and that
Mhm.
word needs to be highlighted with the emotion of the meaning of the word behind it,
Mhm.
like
Yeah,
fear or uh, risk.
that's great. Yeah, those are really good takeaways. Excellent. All right, so beautiful. Let's go ahead then and let's do this same section again. And what's the one thing that you're going to try to be sure that you do this time through?
Um, Focus on the one word of each sentence.
Nice. Okay, good. Then let's go ahead and try that.
Okay, 1 second. I need to grab my charger real quick.
Oh, okay.
Okay. 14. Document and formalize. Document the plan. Formalize the strategic plan by documenting all elements, including goals, strategies, and action plans. Accessibility. Ensure the plan is easily accessible to all stakeholders for reference. 15. Review and update. Regular updates. Strategic. Schedule periodic reviews to assess the relevance and effectiveness of the strategic plan. Update as needed. Revise the plan based on changing circumstances, lessons learned, and emerging opportunities or challenges. Conclusion. Crafting a strategic plan is a dynamic and iterative process that requires thoughtful consideration, collaboration, and adaptability. The plan should be a living document that guides the organization's actions and decisions, fostering a proactive and forward thinking approach to achieving its mission and vision. Regular reviews, stakeholder engagement, and a commitment to continuous improvement are essential to successful strategic planning. Breaking down ambitions into actionable steps is a crucial process that transforms broad, long term goals into manageable tasks, making the path to achievement clearer and more attainable. This strategic approach helps individuals or organizations navigate the journey toward their aspirations effectively. Here's a guide on how to break down ambitions into actionable steps.
Nice. How'd that feel?
Good.
Good. Excellent. All right. So then, okay, so reflecting on that, did you do anything differently this time than you did the previous time?
I was more focused this time on making sure I highlighted specific words.
Nice. Good. Well, that's good. That's awesome. All right. So if you were going to give yourself um, maybe for the next section, one key takeaway from this, what would that be?
Continue to be aware of what I'm reading while I'm reading it.
Mm-hmm.
Be
Nice.
aware of the meaning behind the words and the emotion behind the words.
Excellent. Love it. All right. Good. So then let's go ahead and move on to the next section.
1. Clarify ambitions. Specific definition. Clearly articulate and define your ambitions. Ensure they are specific, measurable, and aligned with your vision. Two, set SMART goals. Specific. Define specific and detailed goals that contribute to your ambitions. Measurable. Establish criteria for measuring progress and success. Achievable. Ensure that goals are realistic and attainable within a given time frame. Relevant. Align goals with your overarching ambitions. Time bound. Set deadlines to create a sense of urgency and structure. Three, identify key milestones. Break down the journey. Identify significant milestones or checkpoints to your ambitions. Timeline. Establish a time frame for achieving each milestone. Four, prioritize tasks. Critical tasks. Critical tasks. Identify tasks essential to the achievement of each milestone. Sequential order. Organize tasks in a logical, sequential order.
Nice. All right, good. So through here, what would you say is maybe the key element or purpose of what you're doing here?
I'm helping people
Hmm.
achieve their goals.
Yeah. Yep. And so what would you say are maybe some of the key elements to bring out here?
One thing I was thinking about earlier is that I need to let my body relax when I'm
Yeah.
recording because I was realized like I'm almost stiff. I'm like my muscles are tense.
Mm.
I need to kind of just like kind of imagine it like I'm on a stage reading to an audience and I'm walking around and engaging with the audience. It's like having a conversation, not
Hmm.
just like reading words on a paper like a PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah. Nice. Very good. Awesome. So then if you were going to maybe give yourself one focus for this next read through, what would that be?
I think focus that I'm reading it to people.
Okay. What do you mean when could you kind of describe that a little more thoroughly for me when you say that you're reading it to people?
So this book it's a self-help book to help people
Hmm.
achieve their goals. And I want to kind of think about it like not like I'm just like reading it off of paper, but I'm like reading it to the reader, to the
Hmm.
listener. So that
I love that.
it's like having a conversation with them, not just like a robotic read through of
Yeah.
words on paper.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Good. Excellent. All right. So let's go ahead. We're going to do it again. And what's your number one goal through here that you're going to try to focus on?
I think number one goal is to be relaxed, like it's more of a conversation.
Sure. Okay. Absolutely. More conversational. Love it. All right. Let's try it.
Okay, there's a cat right outside my door
Oh,
talking to me. Do you hear that?
no, I don't.
Okay,
But it's got to be distracting for you.
a little bit, but it's fine. One, clarify ambitions. Specific definition. Clearly articulate and define your ambitions. Ensure they are specific, measurable, and align with your goals, with your vision. Second to highlight these words that I mispronounced. Two, set SMART goals. Specific, specific. Define specific and detailed goals that contribute to your ambitions. Measurable. Establish criteria for measuring progress and success. Achievable. Ensure that goals are realistic and attainable within a given time frame. Relevant. Align goals with your overarching ambitions. Time bound. Set deadlines to create a sense of urgency and structure. 3. Identify key milestones. Break down the journey. Identify significant milestones or checkpoints to your ambitions. Timeline. Establish a time frame for achieving each milestone. 4. Prioritize tasks. Critical tasks. Identify tasks essential to the achievement of each milestone. Sequential order. Organize tasks in a logical, sequential order.
Nice. Good. All right. So how did that feel?
Good.
Good. Excellent. All right. So what would you say was your favorite thing about that take?
Um, I feel like I'm getting more relaxed when I'm doing it. I think that was my takeaway. I think,
Nice. Well, that's good. I love that. That's great. Okay. So then, so you're feeling more relaxed. And what would you say is maybe, mm, what would you say is maybe the thing that you feel like you improved the most with that read through?
I think being more aware of the emotions behind words and just having that in mind that I need to feel what I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So what do you think you should be feeling here? What kind of emotion should you be conveying here?
Kind of an emotion of excitement because
Hmm.
this is it. We're doing it. We're
Yeah.
we've taken the steps. Now we're
Right. It is exciting. Exactly. Yeah. So we want it to sound exciting. We want to be excited. Yeah.
yeah.
All right. So let's go ahead and we're going to try that again.
Okay.
And I want to hear that excitement. I want to see that excitement.
Okay. 1. Clarify ambitions. Specific definition. Clearly articulate and define your ambitions. Ensure they are specific, measurable, and in line with your vision. 2. Set SMART goals. Specific. Define specific and detailed goals that contribute to your ambitions. Measurable. Establish criteria for measuring progress and success. Achievable. Ensure that goals are realistic and attainable within a given time frame. Relevant. Align goals with your overarching ambitions. Time bound. Set deadlines to create a sense of urgency and structure. 3. Identify key milestones. Break down the journey. Identify significant milestones or checkpoints to your ambitions. Timeline. Establish a time frame for achieving each milestone. 4. Prioritize tasks. Critical tasks. Identify tasks essential to the achievement of each milestone. Sequential order. Organize tasks in a logical, sequential order.
Nice. All right. How did that feel?
Good.
Good. Excellent. All right. So if you were going to give yourself maybe one particular thing that you feel like you could have done better with that take, what would that have been?
I think staying focused on the words written on the page. I think maybe I made a couple of mistakes on pronunciations a couple times, but
Okay. So what would you say those are if you identified what those mistakes on pronunciation were? So specifically articulation, diction, enunciation, but what particular words do you think those were?
Um, Significant. I don't remember what I said, but I pronounced significant wrong.
Hmm. Okay. So
And
significant.
specific. I think I said specifical at first.
Hmm.
So specific and significant.
Sure. So can we go back through and I want you to focus mainly on can I make this as clearly articulated as possible?
Okay. One, clarify ambitions. Specific definition. Clearly articulate and define your ambitions. Ensure they are specific, measurable, and aligned with your vision. Two, set SMART goals. Specific. Define specific and detailed goals that contribute to your ambitions. Measurable. Establish criteria for measuring progress and success. Achievable. Ensure that goals are realistic and attainable within a given time frame. Relevant. Align align goals with your overarching ambitions. Time bound. Set deadlines to create a sense of urgency and structure. 3. Identify key milestones. Break down the journey. Identify significant milestones or checkpoints to your ambitions. Timeline. Establish a time frame for achieving each milestone. 4. Prioritize tasks. Critical tasks. Identify tasks essential to the achievement of each milestone. Sequential order. Organize tasks in a logical, sequential order.
Nice. Very good.
Thank you.
All right. So that was definitely more clear. Excellent. So then, can I have you try? Um, we're going to try going back through it. Can we keep the clarity, but thinking a little bit more about the connection and the personalization as well?
Okay. 1. Clarify ambitions. Specific definition. Clearly articulate and define your ambitions. Ensure they are specific, measurable, and aligned with your vision. 2. Set SMART goals. Specific. Define specific and detailed goals that contribute to your ambitions. Measurable. Establish criteria for measuring progress and success. Achievable. Ensure that goals are realistic and attainable within a given time frame. Relevant. Align goals with your overarching ambitions. Time bound. Set deadlines to create a sense of urgency and structure. 3. Identify key milestones. Break down the journey. Identify significant milestones or checkpoints to your ambitions. Timeline. Establish a time frame for achieving each milestone. 4. Prioritize tasks. Critical tasks. Identify tasks essential to the achievement of each milestone. Sequential order. Organize tasks in a logical, sequential order.
All right, nice. Good. How did that feel?
Good.
Good. Excellent. All right. So um, if you were going to identify maybe one thing that you felt like you did really well that time, what would that be?
I think being more um, personable.
Personable. Yes, I love that. And that is something that we're working on. So I'm really excited that you felt like that was coming through. I definitely heard that as well. So that's awesome. Then what would you say is maybe one thing that you thought that you were improving on, that you could hear and tell that you were making progress on and growing in that area?
The clarity.
The clarity, awesome. Great. So then what would you say is maybe one thing that you thought, I really would like to do this a little bit better?
Also the clarity.
The clarity, okay. Sure, absolutely. All
Yeah,
right. So
room for
then,
improvement.
yeah, yeah, that's perfectly okay to be like, I am growing in that area, but I still need to work on it. I think that's totally valid. So then let's go ahead and we're going to try it one more time. And I want you to really focus on that clarity.
Okay. One, clarify ambitions. Specific definition. Clearly articulate and define your ambitions. Ensure they are specific, measurable, and aligned with your vision. Two, set SMART goals. Specific. Define specific and detailed goals that contribute to your ambitions. Measurable. Establish criteria for measuring progress and success. Achievable. Ensure that goals are realistic and attainable within a given time frame. Relevant. Align goals with your overarching ambitions. Time bound. Set deadlines to create a sense of urgency and structure. Three, identify key milestones. Break down the journey. Identify significant milestones or checkpoints to your ambitions. Timeline. Establish a time frame for achieving each milestone. Four, prioritize tasks. Critical tasks. Identify tasks essential to the achievement of each milestone. Sequential order. Organize tasks in a logical, sequential order.
Nice. Good. So I definitely felt that that was much more clear, that the clarity was there. How did you feel about it?
Yeah, same.
Excellent. Good. Awesome. So then what would you say is going to be maybe your main goal this week with your voiceover?
Definitely to keep all those points in mind to be uh, more articulate and clear and personable
Mm.
and relaxed. Kind of like if I
Yeah.
were like giving a TED talk on stage to like a
Mhm.
large gathering of people.
Yeah. Excellent. Good. Awesome. Okay. So, and then how many days this week are you going to try to work on your voiceover?
4 days.
4 days. Okay, great. And then if you were going to maybe estimate how much time you can contribute each of those days, what would you guess would be kind of the amount of time that you probably could invest?
Mm. Tomorrow I'm kind of busy, so maybe just a couple hours, but
Sure.
Tuesday or Wednesday and Thursday at least 4 hours, four to
Okay.
6 hours.
Yeah,
Six.
absolutely. Excellent. All right, good. So then that's going to be our plan then for this week. You feel pretty good about it? You feel like
Yeah,
you got this?
yeah.
Excellent. Good. All right. Well, keep up the amazing work, Robert, and
Okay.
we'll get back to it again soon. I'll
Okay,
see you
sounds good.
then. Bye,
All right.
Robert.